So Module 2, Part 1 is E for Explorer, which is exploring files and folders on your system. And the place to start is this PC. But under this PC there is also documents, there are downloads, there are music, videos and pictures, and there is also the desktop. And all of these folders are part of what's called your profile. And your profile are the files and folders that are loaded when you log on to the system. Now it is possible in Windows 10 for another user to have access to the same PC, but they will have a separate login, a separate password and a separate profile. So you're not sharing profiles. Your settings are part of your profile and they will follow you around. So the way into Explorer is to click on the yellow rectangle on the bottom on the taskbar, and that will bring up File Explorer, which will maximize. And you can see the folders at the top, which is desktop, downloads, documents, pictures, and music are all part of your profile. And if I look for this PC, then there they all come again, and in the list below this PC we've got Windows C:, which is the main hard drive on your machine. So here we are with the root of the hard drive at Windows C: selected, and these are all the folders that are running off C:. And if I open up a folder called Camtasia, then you'll see that there are a series of other folders within that, and if I open up a folder called Library, within that there are yet more, and indeed there are some individual files. So you can have folders inside folders inside folders, and this is a way of organizing your hard drive. If I select the folder called Documents and I go to Documents, then you can see that this is a list of documents that relate to my particular profile, and whenever I log on these files will be available to me. If I want to organize those and I want to create a new folder, I can right click on anywhere in the space and go for New, and then at the top of that list there is Folder, and it comes up with New Folder as a suggested name for this particular folder. If I click outside that, then the blue highlighting goes away and this folder is called New Folder, which is not particularly helpful, but it can help. It can happen to anyone that you click away and automatically the folder gets named as New Folder. So if I want to change that, then I go to right click and rename is the option, and then I can call this, let's call it Recipes. And that means that these files in here called Recipe Book and so on, I can actually move them into recipes. And in the next module we'll have a look at a lot more of how to cut and paste and move files around and get them into some kind of organized fashion. So this is the Documents folder. Now in here you can see that the files are called recipebook.doc, and if I go to View on the menu bar at the top and click on that, you can see that I've got the file name extensions ticked. If I untick that, then all of the file extensions go missing. So to turn that back on again, I click on View, select File Name Extensions, and then all of the file name extensions come back up. So here I've got a file called recipebook.doc, another one called recipebook.pdf, and a third one called recipebook.txt. So those are files within folders on your system, and these in fact are part of your profile. So the next folder that we want to look at is the Downloads folder, and the Downloads folder is the one that collects any files or videos or music that you download by default. So if we have a look at that, then I've got 2 or 3 files in here which I've downloaded, and to see this working, if I go to a website that I'm part of, which is the leftclick-rightclick.com website, which is a training website, I see in here that I've got a number of videos of PDF files and other material which I can download, and there's a big blue button here which says download now. If I select that, then this particular video on a program called Lead Pages is downloaded, and I can see it in the bottom left hand corner of the screen, and you can see that there is a little blue line working its way around the circle, which means that it's still downloading, and once it's downloaded then I can find that by looking in the Downloads folder. There is another way of doing that, which I will show you in a second, just as this file has got to the end of its downloading sequence, and once it's finished then the blue circle around the outside disappears, and that means that it's complete and you can then look at it. And if I right click on that file, one thing I can do is to show in folder, and the download that I've just finished is called optinvideocreation.mp4, and there it is in the Downloads folder. So anything you download will go into that folder, which is part of your profile. So if I go back to the website, there is another way of dealing with this, and if I right click on this blue button which says download now, it will go save link as, and if I select save link as, then that's the same file, but it fires up Explorer, and Explorer will then allow me to select which particular folder I want to put this into. So if I want to put it into this media folder, then I will just say save, and the file will be downloaded again, and there it goes once more in the bottom left hand corner. So the first one went into downloads, the other one went into the location where I put it, and you can very often select how you want to deal with that, but if you don't make a selection then it will go into your Downloads folder, and that's where to look for it. And lastly, just to cover the folders that are included in your profile, we have a folder called Music, which in fact is empty on this particular profile, but that's where all your iTunes material would go to. We've got Pictures, and there are a couple of folders already in there for pictures that you can save from your camera, for example, and we'll talk about cameras later on when we talk about hardware. And then likewise there is videos, which is also empty on this particular system. So if we go back to the root of our hard drive, which is C:, then just a few things on Windows management. At the minute this Explorer window is filling the entire screen, but if you look at right up at the top right, then there are 3 buttons where you can control the shape and size of your window. So if I click on this one, it goes down to a smaller size, and I can then shape the size of that by dragging in the side and the top and the bottom, and that can be quite useful. I can also click on the bar at the top and move the whole thing around. So these are quite useful things if you're working on multiple screens. If I click on this minus sign at the bottom, then it will go down onto the taskbar, and if I select that, then it comes back up again in the way that I left it, and if I click on the cross, then it disappears completely and it closes down Explorer. And finally, I want to just look at a folder which we can easily take for granted, but it's one that you can use particularly for downloads, and that is the one called Desktop. So if I select Desktop, then you'll see that there are a couple of files which have been actually saved to the desktop. One of these is an image and the other one is a shortcut to Microsoft Edge. Well, we chose not to use Microsoft Edge for these particular courses, but the image that we can download and is saved to our desktop, we can actually use that for changing the background on our desktop. So let's have a look at how to do that. So if I minimize that and then I right click on the desktop, anywhere will do, and we can go to personalize, which is the bottom one. And personalize means that you can then choose your particular picture, and one of the options that we've got is to browse, and if we go to the desktop we can then select the image that we've downloaded earlier on, choose that picture, and that then becomes part of your desktop. So you can improve the way of how the desktop appears, and if you choose any number of pictures that are available on the internet, then these can be made into your backdrop. There are also other alternatives. So if we go to personalize again, then the background can become a solid color. If you don't like pictures, then you can have whichever color you like. It can be yellow, it can be black, it can be blue. Any of these will be available to you, or you can have a slideshow, and a slideshow would then be shown as a theme, and you can then go to themes which are on your system, and the themes are shown at the bottom of this scroll. So these are some of those. There's a standard Windows 10 one, there's one called In the Desert, there's one called World National Parks. These are all standard deliveries with Windows 10. Or you can go to the Windows Store and have a look and see what they've got available. So if you don't like what comes with the machine, then you can actually go to the Windows Store and call up any of the Windows themes. So here's the here are the list, and you'll see that these are pretty much free. So you can have Candy Crush if that's something that floats your boat, or you can have Call of the Raven or Cobwebs and so on. So there's any number of selections that you can make here, and then if you keep scrolling down, then you'll find that the free ones all of a sudden become ones that you have to pay for, but none of these are particularly expensive. So those are there as themes, and they will then deliver pictures to your desktop which will scroll along as a sequence rather than you having the same picture all the time. So those are themes for your desktop, and you have any number of different choices of being able to make your desktop look and feel the way that you choose. So this is the end of Module 2 Part 1. We've had a look at this PC, where we can find that in Microsoft Explorer. We've had a look at where to find the Documents folder, where to find the downloads when you select those, where you can put your music, videos and pictures. They're all default settings. They are adjustable, but we won't go into that on this particular module. And then we've also had a look at the desktop. So that's the end of Module 2 Part 1, and in Module 2 Part 2 we'll be having a look at things such as cut and paste files and folders and other material as well.